we're starting. 3, 2, 1. Hello again, and welcome to Third Way Radio. This is episode 5, I believe. Today we will be talking about degeneracy and how we deal with it, its effects, and how it affects our society on the day-to-day. Hope you guys all enjoyed last week's episode with Mr. Angelo John Gage. That will not be the only... What the hell? That will not be the only interview we are doing. We have got a lot more lined up in the background for you guys. So hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you can look forward to more interviews like that in the future. But today we've got a smaller panel than usual, but I think we've got some talent here. We got one new guy, so hope I'm looking forward to introducing him. But first off, let's start with the oldies. First, we got Mr. Bumpkin back on the show.
I'm basically the co-host at this point.
Okay. Just remember who's the real host. Let's just remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
Next, we've also got Mr. Rex here on the show as well.
What's poppin'?
Yes, Mr. Rex, and we also have the real co-host Earl. We have Earl again.
Yeah, I'm back in black.
Yes, back in black. Speaking of black, we have a new guest on the. We have a new guest on the show. We have a new panelist, Mr. Skeet. Say a few words.
What's going on? People call me the bass black guy. I'm here, and
Yeah,
we not range, bass.
We thought we need some ghetto vibes in this episode.
We be bass,
so
yes. Adding some ghetto vibe, yes.
Gotta start speaking the Ebonics.
Yeah.
Get you out.
We need some gay stuff.
I thought we were being really professional about this, but all right.
Yeah.
This is a bit of this for some background for you guys. We were supposed to record this on a different day. We had to push it back. So we're a bit giddy and shit posty now because it's a bit later than usual. But anyway, we will power through this episode of Third Way Radio for you guys on degeneracy. First question of the night. How would all of you define degeneracy? And let's go from there.
Well, I would define degeneracy as being a slave to your vices, whether it be sexual deviancy to even substance abuse.
Yes. Thank you for ripping off my definition.
What? Oh, I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest with you.
No, that's fine. It's fine. That's the same definition I would use.
I would do another definition of degeneracy. I think degeneracy is anything that deviates from the societal norms.
Okay.
So it would depend on what society you're in.
So would you call like traditional families degenerate in like a very progressive society?
Yeah, to that society they would be, but obviously, in a social context, that's what it would be. But within nature or within your own personal views, you have a different definition of degeneracy.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. What do you guys have to say on that?
Interesting.
I would say if it's detrimental to society, it's degenerate.
Yeah.
If it's detrimental to society, it's degenerate.
Yes. Okay, so my definition would be anything that morally, ethically, or productively degenerates a people, whether that be TV, substance abuse, or what's usually peddled, sexual degeneracy. So it's not really about what degeneracy is encountered, but to what frequency it's done to, and how much it can morally, ethically, or productively degenerate a society or a people.
Mm-hmm. That is a good take. Yeah. So there we have our definition. So I think we can I think we could all agree with Skeet's definition, right?
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Let's operate off of from there.
Okay.
What do you think? Okay, so next question. What do you think is the primary cause of degeneracy and degenerate activity in our society?
I think it's absolutely the bourgeoisie, hands down. Because they are the main peddlers behind this. They're the main financiers behind all these kinds of general behaviors, typically. Mm-hmm. If we're talking more about sexual deviancy, absolutely.
Yes.
Because capitalists doesn't care about traditions whatsoever, whatever it may be. I know you're trying to do ultra Chad posting either, we'll get into the topic later, but LGBT stuff, it's no, it's just they don't care. If it means wealth, they will go for it. And if it's a social zeitgeist to be for something at the moment, and it's, let's say in this instance, it's well, in quotations, degenerate, they'll go for it. If it's profitable, fuck yeah, they'll put all the money towards it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So do you think they're meaningfully doing that, or do you think it's just a side effect of their
I mean, there's
rent-seeking behavior? Let's call it.
I mean, some people can go say, no, I'm not I'm not signaling anything with this one, but some people can say it's a cabal of any type. I think there's a 50-50 chance. There's a mixture of people who are just doing it deliberately and just doing it for the money. I don't think it's 100%. Everybody's in on it. Oh, we need to go push, like insert thing here. I don't think so. I think it's just money chasing.
Does anyone else have anything to say on that?
Well, I mean, I'm just
Well,
going
what I
to
would
elaborate on
consider
that.
to be the prime cause of.
Sorry,
Well,
one at a
what I would
time,
consider-
Bumpkin. Sorry.
Okay, go.
I was just gonna elaborate on that. Of course, corporations would push for degeneracy, right? If they can make money off of something, they're gonna push for it, because they're always thinking with their pockets, right? They don't actually care about the well-being of society. They just want to make profit. Go ahead,
Accumulation
Steve.
of wealth. The whole premise of their capitalism.
So what I would consider to be the prime cause of degeneracy in all its forms is lack of self-control, lack of discipline, and being a slave to the flesh. I consider the flesh, or carnal desires, to put it in a more pragmatic way, as something that always fails and will always leave you in a gut, or in a gut, or in a gut, or in the dirt. Mostly because when you're a slave to the flesh, it makes you not really have any sense of conscience, any sense of discipline, and any dominion over your being that would actually subject you to being able to decide what you want to do besides those carnal desires. You can see this with just promiscuity in general, or substance abuse, which are the main forms of degeneracy that you encounter throughout society.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially also now you're bringing it up because I had to go immediately look back at the points. While we're on the topic of generally of it, there's also the byproduct of liberalism with its whole individualist ethos. You're about getting your self gain of whatever. In this instance, it's self pleasure, whether it's drugs and again sexual deviancy, promiscuity, sleeping around with whoever, whatever, because it gets you off. It's individualism.
Mm-hmm.
It's about self benefit, and that self benefit being very selfish behavior of just pleasure, nothing even meaningful, nothing that benefits other people, just your exploits.
So I think so. Would all of you agree that would all of you agree that capitalism and ashfall culture are the main contributors to degenerate behavior in our society?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
Yeah, they most definitely enable it.
Yeah.
Because of profit motives.
Yeah, as discussed more prior hand.
Yeah, nature will always tend towards an absence of degeneracy, just because degeneracy leads to health issues and lower life expectancy, fertility, etc.
So are any of you of the mind that it might be any external forces, or?
Like I said, I mean, I don't rule it out. There could be again, I'm not signaling anything of this. Unironically, it could be a cabal of any sort of people, wanting to go further some sort of narrative. I don't know who the fuck it is. It could be, but I don't think again exclusively. No, I don't think 100% exclusively.
Yeah. Okay.
I would consider most of the causes for degeneracy, or what have you, be domestic, like things like the sexual liberation movement, LGBT pride rallies, things like that, can most definitely be sources for degeneracy, which are generated in a domestic sort of way through activism.
Yeah, basically all forms of feminism, I would say, in the last first wave, second wave, and third wave, really carried with it I would say the destruction of the female, and then even before, and through that, the destruction of the man. Because when you have mothers who aren't home or who are working or being sexually degenerate, you're going to have men who are sexually degenerate too.
Of course.
So I guess moving on from that, with the LGBT stuff and the LGBT community, do you guys think that? Do you guys think that there is a a cult mentality among the LGBT community?
To an extent, yes, but I will actually get into this because I hang around these people a lot. So the
Really?
LGBT like main well yeah, 'cause I'm interested in their mentality.
Okay.
I'm a big psychological
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Anyway, nevertheless, no, the thing is, I feel like yes to an extent, but I think it's the front face, and the front face has like this annoying spotlight mentality. Well, not spotlight mentality. They are put in the spotlight, and I feel like they also misrepresent a lot of the people in there.
Mhm.
There are a lot of people who don't even like the community to begin with. The community definitely is cult-like, but interiorly, they don't even like each other. A lot of them really bicker amongst themselves.
Ask gay, I'm transgender, what they think of bi people, and you'll find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like
non-binaries with
Mhm.
bisexuals. I mean, it's
they're not too far removed from bipolar in many cases.
no
um, like
Freudian slip.
yeah, I think that's. Oh, Skeet, can you mute yourself? Sorry. Yeah, I think part of that as well is something that you tend to see in Marxist circles, which is because they're so focused on their like individual worldviews and their individual perspectives, they end up kind of eating each other, right, over small idiosyncrasies within the ideology itself, right, or the movement. Because Marxists, like MLs, are notorious for this, right? They were notorious for
Oh, yeah.
bickering over theory, for
I
no
mean,
particular purpose.
hell, I mean, you even got with this whole stuff where it's like this weird complex where they have to pick the utmost biggest fucking minority for some reason. Excuse my language, but it's like they have to be like everything on top of one. They'll like be like, oh yeah, I'm insert like thing here, and then I'm like Muslim or Jewish or
Mhm.
some kind of thing. They go like triple. It's this oppression Olympics.
Yeah.
That's where the cult stuff comes into. It's just like I have to be all these like minority like labels,
Yeah.
which I don't understand it. And that's the thing too, like this cult shit. If you want to go, like, now that I think about it more, yeah, no, the cult stuff as well. You have a lot of people who will make it their personality. They treat like their sexuality as a personality trait. It doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
Who you like doesn't define you who you are. How's that defining? Like, if that's the case, you have a really boring personality, which is what happens with a lot of these people. They make their most defining thing about them because they're trying to peacock. And I think that also ties into a more social thing where they just kind of like want to peacock and be like, hey, look, I'm quirky and different compared to the others. Come date me, please. That's usually
Yeah.
where it comes from
Yeah,
with this
it's kind
peacock,
of
which is why you have the
a scream
dyeing
of
hair
desperation.
fad.
Yeah.
Yeah, dyeing hair, the tattooing, the piercings. It's all a means of peacocking.
Yeah.
But it has turned into a cult, absolutely. They all have the same like similar mindset where they have to be like this, and I don't know, it's fucking weird.
With the like the oppression Olympics and stuff like that as well. Like they it can never be one thing. It's always like 20 different things, right? Like you'd swear some of these people, if they actually had pins for the amount of shit that like they for all the things they had wrong with them, they'd be like those fucking military dictators with the entire sash across their
Yeah,
chest.
they'd be like one of
Who are
those like
they
North
can't
Korean
just be one
generals.
thing. No, it has to be all the things.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. It's just like just be who you are. And the thing is too, like I always have them. I mean, even if they're listening to this, like why? Why do you have to? Oh shit! I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? You know what? Why do you have to like be everything? Just if you think, oh, not to mention, I was gonna say. What I was gonna go say is like if you think it's so normal, and I'm not suggesting that even if it isn't, disregard that. If you think it's so normal, why do you have to like counter signal it so hard? Why?
Yeah.
If you think like being like let's say gay is normal, then be gay. Just be normal in quotations.
Yeah.
Be like anybody else. You don't have to put it in everybody's face and make it very obvious that you have to be different from everyone else. Just
Yeah. That is
very disorganized.
no,
Sorry.
it's fine. We're all a bit disorganized. It's probably gonna be a
It's all
short
over this
episode anyway.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of leads us into our next point. In like, I guess, well, not really leads us in, but I think we should like turn around. To what extent do you think like degeneracy is acceptable within our society, if any?
Well, I mean, it depends what kind of degeneracy you're speaking of. I mean, if we're talking, I mean, I know this goes into the definitions we were using earlier, but again, this goes into the multi-angle thing, which definitions with degeneracy comes. I mean, if you want to go define it as, oh, I mean, LGBT is that, then I don't think there's necessarily a huge issue, particularly with it. I do think the this giant like we need to have months and days and parades and stuff. That if it's treat it like it's normal, dude. I don't
Yeah.
really have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it at all necessarily. Just like don't put it out there, especially in front of kids. Like that's just because kids are very impressionable, and putting like small like things into their mind will make them think. Like, if you go tell them like, oh, you might be gay, and they'll be like, oh, maybe I am, and you could maybe trick them into being that. Like they don't just leave that stuff away from them until like they
Yeah.
get older.
Yeah.
Let that be organic. That's what I like. I prefer with that stuff. It's like let it be organic. Let people just become the way they are naturally. Don't force it.
Pumpkin, do you have anything to contribute?
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem kind of like a cult, but at the same time, I mean, what isn't a cult? in we live in such a polarized time. It's almost like people cling on to any sort of identity whatsoever, right?
Of course, it's labels. We have a
So
huge, giant obsession with
yeah,
labels
huge
right
problem
now.
with labels, right? Even in the political sphere, right? You have
Oh yeah,
people just coming up with ridiculous political ideologies,
yes.
anarcho-primitivism.
Yes.
Oh, what's that one where you want to nuke
Reject
everyone?
iPhone, return to monkey.
Yeah, reject
Castle,
iPhone, return the
Juche.
monkey. Yeah, Juche.
The one where you would like
No.
to, the one where you think the only way to achieve world peace is through a nuclear holocaust.
Yes. Sadism.
Sadism. It's just
Many
retarded
memes.
political ideologies, but people just cling on to these things because we live in a society that just disenfranchises people. We have nothing to cling on to. We have nothing to be proud of. We don't have a nation to be proud of. We don't have a state to be proud of. We don't have a people to be proud of. So of course, people are going to create these niche little in groups and little isolated societies and what am I talking about? And dude, I'm so disconnected. And yeah, little niche societies to themselves, right? Because we're just the product of the neoliberal agenda. This is what they wanted, right?
Well, it's because that's the thing. The neoliberalism, I mean, you have like this whole like equality meme that goes on where everybody's the same, no one's different, and that's why everybody's a peacock. They all try to. That's why there's labels, and that's the thing too. Like, absolutely, there's a huge giant thing going on with politics right now. I mean, I seen someone the other day, like a kid asked, like, "Oh, what extreme? What radical group should I go join?" And it's like, are you nuts?
What radical group
I
should I
recommend
go
Boko
join?
Haram.
Yeah,
I
like
would
with this
recommend
whole- yeah, like
Jucheism.
When he was asking, like he
yeah,
meant
like
it like literally
especially with
far
this whole-
right, far left, anarchist. He meant like literally everything. Like, whatever. Which one should I join?
like literally with this whole like centricide thing peddled by fucking J-Reg
Yeah,
and
J-Reg.
by like the political community where we now hate anybody that's in the middle. We now hate neolibs, neocons, even fucking people that aren't like authoritarian or distinctly anarchist like mercantilists. Now we have a bunch of people that are very retarded and just want to clinch onto a fucking niche subgroup or ideology just so that they can say that they're a part of it. I remember I was talking in this political server, and there was a kid being questioned about because he said himself that he was what he said that he was an anarcho-syndicalist or like some sort of libertarian socialist, and he could barely even fucking articulate what a centralized state meant or what even a state meant at all. He could barely articulate how his system would work or why he liked libertarianism and individual liberty above all other principles in the first place. And it just creates a group of people that don't know what they're talking about, but just want to label themselves as something to be special, which obviously is going to make the subgroup itself look like a bunch of idiots. That's why you have a bunch of Nazis with like anime profile pictures on Twitter, and they're like, "We're the Wingnet group." Like it's fucking retarded.
It's why I had this huge. It's why I had a huge push like about a couple years ago now. I went into this like one area like there's a thing called Amino, and it's like a community app thing. And I was talking to everyone I went in there. A lot of the kids didn't know what their positionism is. They didn't know what communism is generally. A lot of them are all over the place, and just like the entire time I was there, I just pedaled so hard. They need to read books, and kids they just don't read books. They don't got the attention span. Some of them have it, the dedication that's there, And when they do, they get really fanatical of it. God bless them for that. But goodness, people don't like to read books anymore, and it's just like a joke, and they just kind of accept it.
It's almost
Politics
like when
aren't
you
a joke.
remove the father from the home.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like
the
an
product
accepted
of
meme
Yeah.
it.
now where somebody, yeah, it's like an accepted meme now where somebody will like be part of some, will like a child will be part of some like fucking niche subgroup or ideology like fucking anarcho-communism and
Yeah.
be and like literally hop all around the political spectrum.
Yep.
Like now I'm anarchist, now I'm mercantilist,
Yes.
now I'm
Yeah.
communist,
So
You
now
count
I'm a
on
fucking
way
Nazi,
above
now
your
I'm a fascist.
hands. Yeah.
Like it's like
It's-
where does this stop?
It's
When are we
because they
gonna
don't
start?
read. They just
Yeah.
they just
Read
jump from
theory.
friend group
Yeah,
to friend
yeah,
group,
like
right?
yeah,
They
like when are we
jump
gonna
from friend
like
group
when is
to
this
friend group, and they don't
when is
have
this
any
like
idea.
irony
Yeah,
fucking
no
when is this
convictions.
irony fuck fest
Okay.
going to end? Like when are people going to start being like actually fucking genuine again about
I'm
what
not
they
gonna say
believe?
that. I almost just shit posted. Not gonna say that. Let's.
Okay. Anyway, let's go back on topic. Yeah, go back to the original question. There. To what extent is degeneracy acceptable within our society? Do you think it's acceptable to any
I would say
degree?
Alright,
Or
we
I know Bumpkin has some.
We
weird
should
opinions on this.
discourage substance abuse, discourage sexual deviancy. And when I say this, I mean it more in terms of the capitalists, what they do with their advertising. I don't know why I didn't bring this up earlier. There's another issue what they do, looping back to the whole like, do they do anything? Yes, they absolutely do something. Their advertising is all sexualized heavily. It's all playing on your lower instincts.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's like I literally going to the other
Yeah.
like today. You guys probably see my article on it. I'll post it later, and you guys probably can have it in the thing. But anyway, they'll have it for like their clothing. They'll have to be very suggestive.
Yeah.
Their makeup or perfume stuff, they have to be suggestive. With their commercials for with music too. Music are the main genre. Not to go bash on, not to sound like a boomer, because I do like hip hop, but a lot of hip hop also like, has a lot of that. You see of rock too. There's generally the music industry, movie industry, TV industry, entertainment and cosmetics. If you really want to like be really broad but like simplified, entertainment and cosmetics industry are the biggest main proponents next to the pornography industry that just put out this giant like hypersexualization issue, which again is
Yeah.
degeneracy.
Mix it up.
It's making people want to go sleep around promiscuously. They don't want to commit. They don't want to take responsibility if they get their partner pregnant. If their girlfriend gets pregnant because they, didn't fucking take it seriously, then oh, damn, that sucks. Time to get a recreational abortion, and it's just like it's a huge issue.
Yeah.
That's how things go. But if like
This does loop back to the lack of fathers, though.
Yeah, it always does. Most of
It
these
always
issues do.
does.
Like,
As
I
for
think the
LGBT
core of
though,
that is.
like if you were to if you want to categorize LGBT underneath there, I think it's okay to an extent.
I wasn't
To an
expecting
extent. But the thing is, with trans, for example, like on this topic, I go on a lot. Trans, I definitely think we need to find a new solution for. I don't think, obviously, the conservative. I've said this, I think, in another podcast. The conservative mindset has to go. You cannot send someone to therapy and magically fix them. That's not going to do anything. They're people, and the only way to help people is to socialize with them and help them with their problems. A lot of these people in the LGBT community have like troubled pasts, and like Bumpkin keeps saying, father problems, daddy issues. Like it is true that a lot of people have troubled pasts, and I think you need to help them on a human element. I think a therapist, in most cases, I mean, obviously there's some exceptions, but I think it separates the human element of connecting and helping these people. With trans, I mean, in my experience, I've helped people get away from genital dysphoria. Obviously, there's still like there's gender dysphoria, but I think there's still ways around it. But the main issue with gender dysphoria in general, it's usually body acceptance. If you can help them accept their bodies and like people, you're I don't want to sound these are the progressive lingo here, but you're beautiful the way you are. If you actually butter them up like that, they don't get genital dysphoria, which is good. If they don't get genital dysphoria, I think it's 100% reversible. I mean, I'm not saying like you have to do some state mandated thing or you have to not be one, but the thing is, it's not end all be all. This current, in quotations, science man who says, "Oh, the cure of transgenderism is to get surgery." No, it's not. It does not fix anything. In a lot of cases, statistically, it makes things worse for them, and
40%.
it amplifies their
Yeah.
suicide rates, and it's intolerable. It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
Skeet,
Bumpkin.
do you have anything to say?
Oh,
concerning the LGBT community.
concerning to
Yeah.
what extent degeneracy is acceptable within our society. And Bumpkin, I also want to get your words in on this.
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to several things like sexual degeneracy, substance abuse, uh, how I think it should be treated, how I think it should be allowed, is probably to its lowest common denominator, and to have a cultural incentive and a cultural normalcy of looking down on these things when we lose the cultural normacy of looking down on these things, and then we begin to promote them and normalize them. They become a huge problem, which is a sort of slippery slope.
Mm-hmm. Bumpkin, what is your
Okay, so when
take
it
on
comes to
this?
degeneracy or specifically the LGBTQII people, the alphabet people, I actually don't mind them, and this is people might call me a
Gas the
lukewarm,
non-believer.
but I actually don't mind them. Actually, I don't even mind the marriage of them personally. I don't feel like they're that detrimental, and I don't feel like the state should have to step in to enforce them not being alive or something like that. They're just a product of the modern society, and instead of punishing the people that are the product of the modern society, we should be trying to target the systems that create people like this, right? So we should fix that system, and then we'll see a lack of people that act in these ways, right? I wanted to
Oh yeah, because
actually
I mean,
solve the solution instead of just like hard pressing their skulls into the pavement with like a fascistic boot, right? Like we can all we can LARP and all. I hear a lot of people LARP and all that, but at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't matter. I'd even be I've
might.
even talked about my whole policy with the when a married couple gets a loan from the bank, right?
Mhm.
You guys all know that, right? So basically, I would even be open for gay couples with that, and if they, as long as they adopted 4 kids, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, so I guess that actually moves into our next question. What is everyone's opinion on gay marriage, and to what extent should the state have control over the institution of marriage?
I'm
I
impartial.
pretty much already said my
See,
opinion on
You
most
that.
of the
already said
time
your
when it
opinion
comes,
on that.
I
Skeet?
see that
I
most of the time, like when it comes to like the state having any influence on marriage, mostly it's just for like documentation and to collect data about marriage for like the census. So I don't really have a problem with the state influencing or regimenting marriage in any sort. When it comes to gay people getting married, don't really care. What I have problems with comes strictly from really the LGBT community and its externalizations in society and our community. When it comes to things like drag queen story hour and LGBT rallies, in which children are exposed to very unethical and very sexually explicit things, that's what I mainly have a problem with, and what I would advocate for the state taking action on.
Mm-hmm. Rex, do you have any controversial
Yeah,
takes on
like
this?
I don't know. I'm honestly kind of impartial about it. Yeah, I think Skeet kind of described it best. It's mostly, I mean, I know you can come at a religious angle, but I try to like, not to come off blasphemous, but I try to like diverge my religion from the politics, so it's like, people can relate and not just see it like as a block, like a wall is between us. I want to be able to connect with people. I don't want to have something divide me. So, for the most part, I'm impartial, basically, on the whole matter. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely a spiritual thing, marriage, and there's definitely a deeper meaning to it, absolutely. But I don't know. Just I don't think I can fully say no. No, definitely no marriage in churches though. That is absolutely a bottom line. That I will definitely bottom line that. No, there will not be. Well, there will not be. I'm not in favor of um, LGBT marriage inside churches. That would just no. But state marriages are different. That I
Okay.
will concede on.
Interesting. Interesting takes from all. So I guess this moves on to the last half here. Um,
Been waiting.
how How would we reverse the effects of degeneracy? What do you guys think are good strategies to
Easily.
reverse this?
Do I need to say it again? Do
Oh,
I
I
need to
can-
say it for a
I
third
can-
time?
I mean, I can add in.
Okay, Bum can go first since you've been dying.
Reinstate the father in the home. No, but in all seriousness, promote the nuclear family. In all seriousness, promote the nuclear family.
Yes, that would be in America, since you probably have to abide by the current situation, its time and place. In America, it'd be very hard to reverse. But what I think is, since I've been thinking about this a lot, how would you reverse degeneracy? I like the social credit system that China has implemented. Maybe not so much its calculations and how the system has been implemented in full, but the apparatus and the idea itself. Are you all familiar with social
Yes,
credit?
I am.
Mhm.
But tell it, explain it for our
Yeah.
listeners.
So basically, yeah, social credit is a system in which you have a sort of rank for individuals, basically a sort of rank for ethical or moral matters. For example, if you lie, your social credit score may be lowered. But for example, if you donate to charity, your social credit score may be heightened, enlarged, increased, whatever you want to call it. And how I think you can use this to combat degeneracy is it will obviously push people to embrace those traditional values that once made us great, and that you can only do this with state intervention, and that it is the easiest way with good organization to embrace this change.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting take. Rex, do you have any other takes on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple in some regard. It mostly boils back to you have to change the cultural zeitgeist. The cultural zeitgeist is like the main thing because it follows the stigmas and all that stuff. You need to work on that, improve. In terms of okay, I'll break it down into sections to make it easier. So basically, substance abuse changes zeitgeist at that. I think marijuana should be medically legalized, for example. What do you call it? Other obviously stuff we should crack down on. Drug dealers need to be executed, unquestionably. Why?
Terte
Because they're
pilled,
committing
based in the Terte pilled.
it's not even just that they're committing an act of treason to poison your populace is attacking. Okay, the poisoning your populace is attacking the populace. Attacking the populace is attacking a nation. Attacking a nation is treason. So you should have capital punishment. That should be the end all be all. And having that, people will be discouraged from it. No more that slap on the wrist. Stop doing that stuff. No more. And also to mention the people who obviously are the victims of substance abuse. Don't put them in prison. Give them like a rehab. Help them out. That's generally it. I mean, obviously, race standards have higher principles. Have the state have it uphold higher principles and higher standards that everybody should be striving to live by. Not like by the force of the state, because we are the state. That's what we should be. The state should be the representation of the people. Nevertheless, back to the point. Moving on to sexual deviancy, similar thing. Discourage that stuff. Stop. Discourage promiscuity. Um, well, I don't know if I should say it so bluntly, but bring back horror shaming. Bring back horror shaming.
Yeah,
No more
bring
this.
back slut shaming.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No more. No more of this whole sex work stuff. It's this fucking champagne socialist bullshit. It's petite bourgeois people larping as socialists. That's usually what they are. Typically, not all of them, but typically you have a lot of these people who do that stuff. And like we're talking about OnlyFans, and they're like, oh, support sex workers. No, that's your self gain. That's capitalism. A lot of it's just like a form of capitalism, forming self gain, exploiting people's instincts. It's disgusting. It's usury. If you want to be technical, if it's
Would
form of
you-
usury, you're exploiting their instincts for money.
Would everyone
I mean,
oh, would everyone support that? Would everyone be supportive like banning sex work? Or what would your opinions on sex
Yeah.
work be for everyone?
Absolutely. I think it's terrible in this regard. The thing is, the feminists are right in some regard. They have like a halfway point. They say that porn dehumanizes females, but at the same time, they miss the point because they still encourage a form of porn. They think, oh, you need more positive, and it's like, no, get rid of porn all through and through. Any form of sexual material in that regard. I'm not going, and it's also not coming from a traditionalist mindset or like someone was telling me earlier, or you're speaking in Victorian mindsets. No, I'm not talking like we need to go have them dressed up with Sharia law code. No, just remove this giant influx of sexual content. And anyway, back to the point though, with the pornography and whatnot and explicit material.
Could you just hold your
Um,
thought just there? Bumpkin, do you have any Bumpkin or Skeet? Do you have any opinions on that? On banning
Okay,
sex
yeah.
work?
When it comes to things like sexual degeneracy, I think that there should be a code for how you present yourself and dress yourself in public.
Uh-huh.
There should most definitely not be people who are dressing in a way that expose themselves,
well,
because
obviously,
sexual liberation, in almost all its forms, extends to children. If you have parents that like sexual liberation and engage in its tenets, then those parents will also raise their children that way, or end up indirectly exposing their children to things that would incite them to act that way. That's why you have so many children who lose their virginity at such a young age at this point.
Yeah.
well, you want Bumpkin to go up, or do you want me to
Bumpkin,
finish?
do you have any opinions on that?
I mean, obviously, I'm for the banning of pornography.
What about sex work? Like, what would you ban OnlyFans?
Sex work, I would ban OnlyFans, yeah, because it's a form of pornography.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way around that. It is a form of
Okay.
pornography. I would outright just ban pornography altogether because it's detrimental. Either ban pornography or absolutely make sure that children aren't watching that shit. Because currently, in the current way it's set up, there's no way to actually watch for that. It's like, okay, porn site, for instance, right? Are you 18 years or older? You click a box that says yes, and you click yes. It's not. It's either
Like,
needs to
done
be
the legal
highly
due diligence.
regulated, and either I wouldn't know anything about that, but it either needs to be highly regulated or it needs to just be outright banned, because we can't let pornography be warping the minds of children, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So continuing back on what you were saying, Wax.
Yeah, no. I was gonna go say is basically to wrap it up essentially. Yeah, no, like sexual content, pornography of any sort, whether it's OnlyFans or that other stuff on the websites, it just dehumanizes both sexes. It turns them into mere sex objects, and it's just inhuman. It's not right. It's disgusting. If people, you have usually the dirtbag left who will usually go with like, oh well, sexual liberation or something. It's better for women, and it's just like, how you're giving males a more sexualized version exclusively of women, and let's say you got guys who aren't really good at social skills, right? They aren't good at courting women or any of that, and then it's just like they see nothing but that. Their only experience of women is like stuff to just get off to. It's not healthy for the mind at all, psychologically. And same thing comes for women. It's not healthy. It's not going to be good for a long-term relationship if you're just dating someone for the means of, oh, I want them for sex. It's going to last for like a month at best. And you're going to fuck up the other person's psychology too if they're actually sincere and you're just using them for sexual exploits. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying it's immoral and wrong to have, obviously like what do you call it? To have to have some sex appeal play into your interest. That's perfectly fine. What matters, however, is the difference between is you shouldn't be letting it be the dominant factor while you're going to date someone. You should be more there for the how would you put it? The chemistry you have with them. Obviously, sex
Yeah,
appeal.
Okay.
and these are the type of things that lead to things like high levels of single motherhood and fatherhood. Because when you have two people that aren't committed or aren't married, most of the time, their children will end up being bastards, and the mother will just be single raising a child, and we know that doesn't go well ever.
Of course,
just empirically,
you need
you know.
you need both parents in a household to have a proper mindset that's healthy. Again, I've went into this I think in the other podcast. I mean, you can get gender dysphoria from that. You can obviously become any one of the letters in the LGBT community in general. You can become an incel even if you don't have a mother figure. If you're a guy and you have only a father, you're not going to know what it's like to have a woman around. You don't learn the social cues of women remotely. Even yeah, sure, it's like, oh, what are you saying? Are you going to date your mother? No, it's not that. You need to be around people to understand how their psyches work on a subconscious level. And if you don't know how women work, you're not going to go work well with them, obviously, if you don't have like any of the influence. Not to mention, guys also do need a little bit of femininity in there. It's natural. It's natural to have. It's biologically natural. That's why you have a mom and a dad. Same goes for women. They still need a little pinch of like that masculine father influence. It's just a natural yin and yang, if you want to be more simple with it. You need a balance.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess that's those are all the questions that came. Okay. No. I have one last question. One last question to ask. This is a very important question,
Alrighty.
guys. So we need to listen up here. Okay. We all need to listen up. I'm gonna ask this question.
It better not be what I think it is.
It's a very important question. Okay, guys. Very important question. It's a question as old as time. Okay, guys. Very important question. Are traps gay?
Trap's gay. Yes.
Duh.
It's,
Yes.
It's a guy, a feminine guy.
Yes.
They're still a dick.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
still a penis.
Okay, I'll ask another question. Are trans men gay?
Yes.
Trans men. When you say trans, okay, when you say trans men, do you mean like male to female, or do you mean like female to male?
Female to male.
If you want to be like meticulous with it,
That's fucking.
inherently, it is gay.
I mean, it can't be gay because they were
Biologically,
women,
yeah.
But what
I
if
mean,
they
yeah,
have?
but-
What if
but
they're post-op and they have a
But,
sausage
then
stitched
A
to their
meat
crotch?
sausage stick? That has to be gay. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's implicit because you're dating someone who's basically a guy at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So then would
damn, but
hold
but then
on.
we
Then
have
would
to-
dating
but
a
then we have to
post-op?
cons-
Then hold
yeah,
on.
but then
Would
we
basing
have
a
to consider.
would
Yeah, but then we have to consider the reverse. But
Yeah,
then,
that's
what I
was about to
male
say.
Female
Yeah,
gays,
no,
they get
female.
an artificial. Yeah, it's a dilemma, but I'd still say it's weird. Like if you're straight, any straight person probably just isn't gonna meddle in that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gay all around.
So yeah. So
Implicit.
It's gay all
Todd.
around.
Okay. So Todd and Morgan are both off the table. Todd and Tiffany are both off the table. Okay. Todd and Tiffany are both equally gay. Okay.
I don't know this reference.
That's just something I came up with. It's not a reference to anything. Okay. But that's that looks like everything. Those are all the questions I wrote down. Does anyone else have anything to add on the topic of degeneracy?
Not really that much, honestly. I think I said that's
Okay.
pretty much
Is that
most of what
everything?
needed to be
Pumpkin?
said.
I believe that's everything.
Okay.
But I would like to thank everyone
Only thing
for
I've got to say is,
coming.
like, when it
Oh,
comes
go ahead,
to-
Skeet.
The only thing I've got to say is when it comes to degeneracy, in order to combat it, you always need a strong leader in order to combat
A strong
degeneracy.
state.
Yes, a
Yeah,
strong
yeah,
state.
strong
Yes.
leader,
Channeling the
strong
inner
state.
artist. Well, I guess like a last sentiment you can get from me, for those who might be from the LGBT community listening, you're trans.
Because many gays watch our show.
I know it's a minority, but you don't know where this video might be in the future. I
It's a
don't know.
super minority.
I know it's dumb, but I'm just speaking.
If someone's in like
But-
the basement of like a siege tower and they're being like tortured and they're gonna show them this recording to torture them. Yes.
Well-
What words of wisdom do you have for that poor son of a bitch?
Yeah, I know, for these very small niche people, I guess it's kind of redundant if you're listening to this anyway, but don't exclusively surround yourself with people who are like you sexually. Be around different people so you can get different perspectives. I think honestly, like my most important word of advice I would say is if you're like gay, trans, whatever, don't stick around those communities. They usually will like always give you this fake face of support. No matter what, they'll just encourage you to go do like a worse rabbit hole possibly, and you don't know. Like if you're like thinking about being trans, they're gonna encourage you. Yeah, you're trans. You go at it. Think about it. Don't just go with it. Let have some more nuanced people. And I'm not saying also like listen to people who will just bash you, but just put thought into these things.
Yes.
Put deeper thought than just listening to like encouragement, because encouragement might not always be good.
Yes. Okay. On that note, we will end this episode. It's been a shorter episode.
Thank you everybody for coming out.
Yes.
I've been your host.
Co-host.
Bumpkin.
Co-host. Like you're the junior co-host.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I forgot to
junior
out.
co-host. I am
I've
the
been
host of this podcast. Okay.
Coming
Anyway,
out.
thank you everyone for
Spider-Man.
coming out. Thank you for Mr. Skeet coming on.
Thank everybody
At
for
such short
coming out.
notice.
You know,
We'll be back
I've been
next
the
week
base
on
black
Friday.
guy.
Oh, sorry.
What's
Go-
going on?
I'm so
Hey, thank
disorganized.
everybody for coming out. I've been the base black guy. We be based, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
At
See you. This has
Third
been-
Way Radio.
Yay!
Let's fucking go!